The countdown is on. We are just a few hours away from Apple's next big product unveil. It's widely anticipated to be the Apple Watch at their Spring Forward event. So will the latest innovation change our world as much as the ones that came before it? Joining us right now with their expectations is Charlie Warzel. He is BuzzFeed News senior writer. And Jonathan Geller, who is BGR.com founder and editor-in-chief. And guys, thank you both for being here today. Jonathan, what do you think?
It's obviously Apple Watch. You know, there's the unexpected potential of it being a MacBook Air refresh, which would be a big thing for Apple, the next generation of their computing line. And who knows, there could be a TV or something else. But this is going to be an event about the watch, and it's going to break down exactly what we're going to get from it. The price, the release date, how you're going to be able to buy it, new features, showing off developer showcases of, different apps and things like that. So it's going to really be 85% focused on the watch.
Charlie, what do you think in terms of whether or not they can make watches something we want and need?
Well, I think, other people have obviously done this. The smartwatch isn't exactly new. When Apple comes in, you have to kind of change all your expectations. But I think this is sort of an unprecedented moment for Apple, because right now we're sitting here, we know what this thing sort of looks like and sort of what it does, but we have no idea how actual people are going to use it and how it's,
Yeah, I've gone back and forth myself about whether I would ever want one. At first I thought, no way. Very recently I've been thinking, well, maybe it would be kind of cool if I could use it and not have to have my phone right on me at every point.
And that's what it's supposed to really be, I think, is a way to control your iPhone and manage notifications and, check in on different apps and programs. It's this interface that's going to actually try to help you you check your phone less. So that, that
maybe a sneakier way to do it if you're sitting in a meeting.
Right.
The genius, is it going to be a big hit or not?
I think it'll be an enormous thing for Apple, because looking at it, forget smartwatches. What Apple's doing is Apple's going into the watch industry. So if you look at the watch industry, anything $5,000 and under, gone. Forget about it. So that's, I think, the big thing for Apple. Is it's not just smartwatches, because that's not a big category right now. They're going into be a watch
Well, they
player.
want to be Rolex. I mean, that's how the headlines are being framed. I think that's what the Journal.
We don't know the price of the gold edition watch.
Right, they want Rolex status. Can they really get that?
Yeah, you were guessing 5,000 for that, but I've seen people guessing 10,000.
I don't think it's going to be that much, because Apple can't sell the volume at that price, and you can't sell a watch made in China for $10,000. So it's going to be interesting to see where they price the edition. My bet is the edition is the driver of revenue and profit for Apple. They're going to make the most money off those. They'll sell the least of them, but that's going to be the driver for the watches for me.
How does that break down? You think it's margins of about, what would you say, 35% or something?
If you use 35% margin, but on the gold one, it'll be a 200% margin. So, I mean, it changes the dynamics a lot. And you're talking about, $3-4 billion a quarter based on Wall Street Journal estimates for shipments. It's, $16 billion a year in revenue. It's not bad for Apple.
Right. One question I had is, what about a refresh cycle, right? I mean, a phone, you kind of have these new phases every couple of years. Watches, they're supposed to last forever if traditional Swiss watches. Are they going to go up in value? Are people going to hang on to them forever?
Well, I think that's really it's a very interesting thing that's going to happen. Some people have said maybe there'll be, if you buy a $10,000 watch or however expensive, you can trade it in after a couple of years, get the new model. But that's not really a luxury brand thing to have people come in and trade. You don't trade your Rolex.
Although, would you spend $10,000 on the first edition? I mean, I don't like buying the first edition of anything because it never gets the bugs worked out until later.
I mean, I think, if it's a true luxury product, it's a status symbol. You're going to want to go.
And that's a problem, because then when you trade it in, then you're not making $10,000 the next time.
Exactly. I mean, some people have said that there might be, and I don't think this is going to be the case, just a pure upgrade cycle. You pay that up front, and then you can just trade in and get a new one. But then there's the issue of, how do you swap out the gold?
Right. Why would you buy the $10,000 watch if there's going to be a next generation $10,000 watch next year? That's a problem.
But
isn't it?
Again, looking at it from the lifestyle luxury aspect of it, you buy $10,000, boots or a bag, or for those types of purchases, it doesn't really, well, in that category,
sure, but
that's what they're aiming for.
They're going to make their money by selling the $349 version as much as they possibly can. Even the psychology, as Michael and Becky say, when it comes to a watch, who's even going to buy a $300 to $400 watch and then 2 years from now have to trade it in or get a new one because of new technology or whatever?
Well, that's a great point, and that's, I think, why this event is so important, and it's going to signal what their intent is. and how they're going to actually break this down to consumers. And, you know, thinking about just cell phones in general, you know, this was a little bit before my time, but everyone was like, I don't really need a cell phone back then, you know, and you didn't kind of understand the use case and the need. And now it's like, well, you couldn't live without it. So it'll be interesting.
Apple has done that before.
Correct. So it'll be interesting to see how they get into this.
Well, what about the apps, right? It comes down to the apps, too. How long is it going to take for app developers to get up to speed enough to make it worthwhile to get people to actually go out and buy these things, because there's going to be the App Store is going to be full of things to do on the watch?
Well, right now there's a lot of app developers that have complementary apps ready to go, and Apple's had about 100 of them kind of just secreted away in their labs working on this event just to showcase some of them. So we'll see those today.
Gentlemen, thank you both for joining us.
Thanks.